Tonight, Minister of Sports Sonia Talangi met with sports leaders. Immigration arrival form trial started last week. And Niue's netball team to the Pacific Games is named. Fa'alofalaiatu, good evening and welcome to tonight's bulletin of BCN News. I'm Esther Pavihi. Leading the news tonight, the government of Niue this week paid tribute to the late Dame Alison Quinton Baxter, who passed away last week. Dame Alison Quinton Baxter, with her late husband Robert Quinton Baxter, provided legal advice during the referendum of self-government and the drafting of the Niue Constitution Act. Secretary to Government Peleni Talangi also met and worked with Dame Alison Quinton Baxter, along with the current Government Constitutional Advisor, Emeritus Professor Tony Angelo. Peleni Talangi in her statement said that Dame Alison's expertise and guidance in matters of constitutional law were unparalleled, leaving a permanent mark on the legal landscape of Niue. Dame Alison Quinton Baxter passed away on September 30th at her home in Wellington. She was 93. And in our other top stories tonight, the Minister of Social Services, who is also the Minister of Sports, Sonia Talangi, today met with the leaders and representatives of all the sports codes on the island. The meeting was initially scheduled to start at 11 a.m. at the USB campus at Paliasi today, but Minister Talangi was held up at other meetings. The meeting with the sports codes took place at 1 p.m. This is the first meeting organised by the government and hosted by the Minister of Sports since the impasse between the national sports body NISCA and the sports codes last year. There are some scenes at today's meeting that shows that there are still issues between the sports codes and NISCA. Here's more.
New Zealand, Niue, American Samoa, Guam, Cook Island, who hold New Zealand passport. If they want to represent Niue, come in, stay 5 years prior to the games. What's happening now to the next Pacific Game?
Earlier this week, BCN News obtained a copy of the email about the meeting sent to the sports codes from the Secretary of Justice Darren Tohovaka on behalf of Minister Talangi. The sports leaders were asked to attend the meeting with an invitation saying this meeting is very important to meet with all the sports codes leaders and to discuss their aspirations and how the government of Niue can help strengthen the relationship between the respective sports codes. BCN News is aware that some of the sports leaders are not on the island, but were also invited to attend the meeting, including the leaders of Niue Weightlifting, Niue Powerlifting and the Niue Rugby Union, Tony Edwards and Sydney Louis. The meeting today is the first official meeting called by the Minister of Sports since the impasse last year between the national sporting body NISCA and several sports codes on the island, which went as far as the Niue High Court. Earlier this year, the sports codes turned up to the general meeting of NISCA held to establish a new executive committee, but most of the sports codes walked out of that meeting and when they were not permitted to nominate and or vote at the general meeting. BCN News will continue to update on the outcome of today's meeting in our bulletin next week. Despite the heavy rain yesterday, the National Disaster Management Office last week issued a fire cautionary notice to the public because of the windy and forecast for more dry conditions on the island. Robin Heko, the manager of the NDMO, told BCN News that it's always advisable during these windy and dry conditions to be careful in case fires get out of hand.
The notice released on social media on Monday last week cautioned the public from burning fires during these windy and dry weather conditions. BCN News spoke with National Disaster Management Manager Robin Heko.
From our disaster office, that we put out a cautionary warning only to people because, their lands and their plantations, it's all owned by themselves. But it's a cautionary measure so that won't be a risk for the workers or even for any houses nearby to some of those areas out.
Robin Hicko said that the risk of fires burning out of control is higher during windy and dry conditions. But should people wish to burn their rubbish, they should take care, and should things get out of hand, to call the emergency number 999.
The best thing that we encourage people just to look out because of the winds and how dry the ground is, and also all the trees or the brushes around there. It's a good fire starter, and the fire will be able to take off very fast. Just to look out and watch and monitor the situations if you decided to burn your rubbish. Even some that closer to your houses or to your homes, to be mindful, and also just to monitor if you are to burn anything at this time because of the dry wind, that's blowing.
The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries earlier this week started their workshop on paravet training and biosecurity emergency response plans. The director of DAF, Poya Kesene, said they had been planning to hold these trainings for some time and are very pleased to get the support from the Pacific Community, SPC, and New Zealand's Ministry of Primary Industries. Their experts are here on the island to conduct the training workshops. Several vets and officials from SPC, the Pacific Community, and from New Zealand arrived to conduct the workshops, including Andy, who is a vet and epidemiologist from the New Zealand Ministry of Primary Industries.
I met Poi in New Zealand, the director here at DAF 2 years ago, and we talked about some of the key objectives that he would like from support, and that was animal disease surveillance and food safety, so meat inspection to ensure that the food processed from animals here is safe for human consumption, and so that will really be our main aim over the next few years. But we'll look to support Niue in any which way we can, and so we operate on a real-time basis, and so some of the other program countries that we work with, when there's an issue, they contact us and we respond.
SPC's coordinator for Heads of Veterinary Services, Eleanor Salele, says that the SPC is currently running a series of paravet training around member countries in the region to address the lack of qualified veterinarians in the Pacific.
So one of the top problems that we have here in the Pacific is the lack of qualified veterinarians. From that, we had developed a paravet training course module to train livestock officers, biosecurity officers, meat inspectors, and also extension officers, and some farmers in some cases to undergo the paravet training. This is it's sort of a program that also works around livestock in treating sick animals, on biosecurity measures.
Today's workshop is very much focused on a lot of the paraveterinary skills that are necessary to support animal disease surveillance. So we'll be talking about some foundational skills, paraveterinary skills, and then we'll be doing some practical skills. And the practical skills are designed to be, an outcome of learning. The team here will learn how to collect blood samples and how to process those samples, and those samples ultimately will be used to find out what animal disease is present in Niue, and that's extremely important. Once we know what diseases are present here, we can potentially mitigate risk to people if there's a disease that's spread from animals to people.
Eleanor Salele also told BCN News that they are well aware of the limited capacity in Niue for animal health care.
We know that there's a shortage of staff in the livestock division, but with this training being implemented and being carried out with the livestock officers, biosecurity officers, even the farmers, they're able to even go out and provide services for livestock animals in Niue.
The workshop is attended by staff of the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, as well as farmers and hunters on the island. The government last week started a pre-arrival immigration trial for local residents returning to the island. The Deputy Secretary to Government, Gayleen Tasmania, asked that the information about the trial be relayed to families and friends who were due to return to the island on Monday last week's flight. This trial is only for the immigration part of the arrival form and does not include the biosecurity and customs part of the arrival declaration. Here's Losana Sioniholo with more.
The trial allows local residents arriving on the flights to complete this pre-arrival passenger form online by visiting the government website. They will complete the arrival form online at least 24 hours before leaving Auckland. Some of the passengers who returned last Monday told BCN News that completing the immigration part of the arrival declaration online before the flight was helpful on arrival because they didn't have to stand in line for too long. This trial is only for the immigration part of the arrival form and does not include the biosecurity and customs part. After completing the online immigration form, an email confirmation will be sent to the passenger, and passengers will show this email to the immigration official upon arrival in Niue. Niue passengers' arrival form is available on the government website for returning residents to complete online. The trial couldn't have come at a better time as the second weekly flight is due to start on the 4th of November until January 2024.
The National Disaster Management Office is also hosting a visitor this week. Kevin Maitava is from the Pacific Community, SPC, and he is here on a follow-up on the Natural Disaster Risk Reduction Program, a regional program involving 15 Pacific Island countries, including Niue. Earlier this week, BCN News spoke with Kevin Maitava about his visit.
I'm the project officer for Niue, so I'm here to work with the Niue NDMO to follow up on the country activities for Niue. Also work with NDMO to set up a project steering committee for the country activities. For this BSRP2 project, the NDMO is our focal point, our focal agency. So for the next 2.5 years or so, 2.5 years to 3 years, I'll be working with NDMO regarding the project activities and trying to implement the project and roll out as quick as possible. The ultimate beneficiaries being the Niuean people.
Kevin Maitava said that the first phase of the program for Niue involved the construction of the National Disaster Management Building located here at Fonuakula. But also important to the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Program is public awareness and making sure that the national disaster plans are publicly visible.
Plans are very important, not only for the government, but for the people as a whole, because awareness and knowledge improves resilience, improves understanding, and ultimately saves lives, one, and also saves property. So these key activities, they contribute to the ultimate aim of ensuring people's lives are not put at risk because of misinformation or ignorance, and also so the government themselves and our development partners and stakeholders can help deliver services efficiently when it comes to these sort of emergency situations, because time is critical, information is critical, and people need to be responsible too for their own resilience, their own understanding of the hazards around them. So some of the key outcomes is that, and also to improve our partnership with the government, with the key stakeholders on the ground.
The Regional Intra-ACP Natural Disaster Risk Reduction Program is funded by the European Union with a €14 million EDF grant. And Alofi South residents from Haramahanga to Amano and from Tāpeu to Fonuakula went without water on Sunday last week. In a message from the Director of Utilities, Clinton Chapman, at 9:15 a.m. on Sunday, informed that the water supply to these areas had been switched off to allow the reservoir tanks to refill and to save distribution pumps from running dry. Major leaks were identified at Tufukia and also at Fualahi and Huihui. The team at the Water Division restored the faults, avoiding a lengthy water supply issue for these areas of Alofi South. As the Pacific Games scheduled to be held in the Solomon Islands draws near, the Niue Island netball squad to those games was announced in July this year between Nina and Niue Netball Australia. The Niue netball team to the Solomon Islands is made up mostly of girls or athletes based in Australia and New Zealand, but there are a few familiar names in the squad. Here's more. The athletes selected for the Niue netball squad to the Pacific Games this year are athletes based mainly in Australia and New Zealand, but there are a few familiar names. These are the named athletes with the villages they or their parents are from. Giselle Dilworth from Mutalo, Francine Flanua Morris from Mutalo, Brooklyn Faliu Briers from Makifu and Alofi, Rosalina Holamotu Tausi from Hakupu and Liku, Tiana Ikinofo from Alofi, Sharina Jackson, Alofi and Hakupu, Leilani Lui Ikiua from Hakupu and Avasele, Florence Nawu from Makifu and Tamakotonga, Riley Jacinda Northdurft from Alofi North and Avasele, Janessa Noble, Mutalo and Alofi, Shakaya Tanivesi, Liku and Alofi, Kalaias Tanivesi from Liku and Alofi as well, Ashley Wickman from Mutalo and Toi, and Kiana Kifoto from Alofi and Hakupu. The coaches are Michelle Duffy and Karen Wilson. The team managers Malama Rex Helangi and Ane Sipili Holamotu. BCN News will continue to provide regular updates as information comes to hand about Niue's team to the Pacific Games, which will officially open on November 19th in the Solomon Islands. The Pacific Games 2023 will be available on TV Niue's Pacifica channel. And a 15-year-old Niue High School student, Joshua Buckner Pomale, has been selected to join the Auckland Niue Rugby League Under-15s Tautamataane squad competing in the Pacific Youth Games or the Pacific Youth Cup in November in Auckland. BCN News caught up with young Joshua and his coach Dave Ulukita at their training session earlier this week.
Joshua Buckner told Midday News that he is very humbled to have been selected.
Yeah, I'm very grateful and humbled, and same going to be blessed. And I know on my legal documents I was born, on a different place, but in my blood I'm a Niuean, and I'm a Niue Moli. My father is a Liku Niuean, and I am forever grateful to him for raising me here. I pray I will become a citizen of this country and be able to represent Niue in the future out here.
BCN News also spoke with his coach Dave Ulukita about how this opportunity for Joshua came about.
So it's always a part of the Tuamotu PYC development training camps. So we've identified Sue as a player that we think we can send over to New Zealand and further develop his rugby league being as a player. He's also part of the Tawhisi men's team.
The young patriotic rugby league player said that he may carry a US passport right now, but he is a Niuean at heart and dreams of one day representing Niue in the game.
My plan is to stay here and look after my family, my mom. Because just stick to the words that my father gave me. Stay and take care of my mom, and But if I get a chance for the big leagues, I pray I will always represent Niue. I'm a Niuean. Nakaini mo hakumotu tuputupake gi Niue ni. Kogo e tau Niue.
Dave Ulukita says that he is also very pleased with the development of the game of rugby league on the island, considering the sport was just officially established locally a few years ago. Ulukita said that this year is the first year they are sending a player for the 15 and under competitions.
So this year is the first year, so it's just a trial and error. We are sending 3 more in January to join the under-18s Auckland Niue Rugby League. Just want to say thank you to Auckland Niue Rugby League for allowing us to send our boys over here from Niue. It's a great opportunity for the young ones and something for them to do.
Ulukita said that they are grateful to the principal and management of Niue High School for allowing the students to be trained on Friday during their lunch breaks and also for the use of the school grounds for their league training. Joshua, who will be accompanied by his mum, will be leaving the island in a couple of weeks.
And all the very best to you, Joshua, and your trials in Auckland for Auckland Rugby League. To end our news tonight, a cloudy day with brief showers did not stop the village of Alofi South from hosting their annual show day at Paliasi School grounds last Saturday. The folks of Alofi North were quite pleased to return to the Paliasi grounds for their annual show day after 3 years of the pandemic, and they did not disappoint with yet another successful show day. BCN News team were also there on Saturday.
It was a great turnout of locals and tourists early in the morning and throughout the day. Speeches were delivered by the Alofi North Women's Rep, Village Council Chair Rubina Morrissey, former Member of Parliament Vainga Tukuitonga, Alofi North Member of Parliament Tutuli Heka, and the Australia and New Zealand High Commissioners. Alofi North Member of Parliament Tutuli, in his speech, thanked the people of the village for their continuous efforts for their village and encouraged them to continue the good work for the village and the people. He also thanked the High Commissioners for the support through community grants.
New Zealand High Commission and Australian High Commission also. Thank you for your assistance in many forms for the people of Niue, especially the small community groups, the development grants.
The day ended with beautiful performances by the children, youth and the parents of the village.
And congratulations to those folks at Alofi North for putting on yet another successful show day. We look forward to the next one, which is for the village of Avasele next week. But that's our bulletin of BCN News for tonight. Do join us again on Tuesday next week for our bulletin in Wangahau Niue. But here's wishing you all a lovely weekend and good night. Munui Nipu.